Okay, yeah, I put here this example for us to have a quick look at what is happening inside the if statement. So, for example, if you see the first if statement that we have in there, is checking. It is checking. Like basically what it's saying is is counting how many items are on the list. So this, you see, like we can see that there are 4 items, right? So it will check if the number of the list, in this case is 4, is greater than 0, which is true. It will start going into the while loop, and once it gets into the while loop, it will start checking for all this. As I was saying before, the current is just a variable that has been assigned to 0, and it will serve as a counter to help us increase the numbers, and I will show you what we can do with that. So for example, if I keep stepping into this piece of code, you will see that it's evaluating if 4 is greater than 0, which is it is. Then it will go into the while loop, like because the if statement is true, it will go inside the while loop and it will check, okay, current, which is equal to 0, is less than the number of the items on the list, which is true. It's like 0 is less than 4. So basically what happens is when what we're trying to do here is we're gonna set up a number like length. The length will be checked. The current is set to 0, and the length is telling us that there are 4. So it's we're gonna count no more than what we have on the list. It's we're not gonna count for 6 because we don't have 6 items on the list. So we're gonna count what is on the list. So if later I want to add any extra naming here, I don't have to readjust the while loop. So that's the purpose of that. So I'm gonna keep stepping into this program, and you will see the length, which is, it will count is 4, right? So that's true. And then it will go inside this. It will print current, which is the current state, which is 0 for the first. This will be 0, this will be 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So that's how we expect it to see it. So it will print 0 dash. It was a 0 dot before. I put a dash, and then here it will print the name that is holding the position that is in here, like 0, right? Which will be Pedro, right? So Pedro. Then it will go to position number 1, position number 2, position number 3. Let's keep stepping into 0, and the item that is in position number 0 is Pedro, and that's what is going to be printed. So you can see here in the output what is happening, right? The reason why we add 1 to here is because it wouldn't add it by itself, so we have to tell the counter that we don't need 0 anymore. We want you to increase by 1. So it's okay, now I want you to move forward to the next number, which is 0, right? So which is 1, sorry, which is 1. Then here what will happen is okay, current was set to 0, now I'm gonna add 1, so I'm gonna be incrementing it by 1. So current won't be 0 anymore, it will be 1 for the second round. You see, that's what we have here. So now current is 1, and then it will go and move on to the next item on the list. So we have the list here, and the item that will pick will be Martin. And that's what will be printed there. Now what we expect to see is again okay, now we're moving down to the section where current was 1. Now we're gonna add 1 more, so it's 2. So it will be 2. Is 2 less than the number of items on the list? Yes, it is. This doesn't make much sense now, this while statement at this point, but you will see as soon as we get to the last item, it will exit the while loop. So 2 is less than 4, yes, that's correct. So we go into the while loop, and then we print the item number 2 on the list, which is Matthew. This time will be Matthew, because remember, this is holding the position 0, 1, and position 2. Now we have Matthew down in this section here. I keep stepping into. Now it will add 1 more to the counter, to the current. So it's still true. And now we're gonna print Darius. So we're gonna print Darius. As soon as we print Darius, yeah, it's false. You see, like, okay, we print Darius, which is item number 3. Remember, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So once we check, yeah, is we go here to the while loop, and it checks that this number is greater than 4, is greater or equal than 4, then it will go out and start moving to the next section. So it's like the while loop is finished, and it will move to this section. Now we print a line, just a line, and then it will move to this statement here, which will only print the name list. So remember that this name list will be only the name list in here. So yeah, it's like it won't go through the while loop. This name list will print what is in here. And I believe this is the test that you were doing. It's like, okay, I'm printing the same thing, but the difference that we have, you see, now it's printing the list. This will print the list outside the while loop. So it's like, this is what we'll do. The reason why we put items on a while loop or in a for loop, in a loop, any of its kind, will be to access each item independently. It's like now here we'll be able to, yeah, for example, I want to get only item 2, I will be able to do so, right? So I'll be, for example, I can print here only item 2, like I put the current to, yeah, I want to print current number when it's equal to 2, and then print what is in 2. So it's like basically the reason why we use the while loop is to, okay, to list it in this case, but then to access any of the items that are on the list. Whereas if you do it in this way, you will only be able to access the name list, and that's all what is happening there.